Hey there, heroes. Welcome back to the Amateur Otaku podcast, where we're reviewing My Hero Academia, chapter 351. Of course, this is the Amateur Otaku podcast. We're covering everything from My Hero Academia to Vigilantes and the anime. Also, we are covering My Hero Academia team-up missions while this manga is on break for a whopping 21 days as of the time of this recording. I'm your host today, All Mike, aka the Novice Cinephile. Joining me, as always, is the punster head himself, the emblemaniac, Isaac Wolf. And, of course, our other co-host, the guy who hasn't been on My Hero very often, but who loves the series just as much as all of us here, Red Comet, the Scarlet Fan 52, Brandon Alvarado.
Yo. Let's do it.
Guys, first off, I'm going to toss this to you right quick. 21-day break. How are we supposed to survive this? Especially the way this chapter ends.
I mean, there is more manga than this.
See, that's not the answer we're looking for, Isaac.
No.
I mean, he wants to feel understood in his despair.
Yeah, it's a big cliffhanger, right? It's just insane.
Yes. Well, at least it's not as bad as the Black Clover one, where it's like, hey guys, we're going on a break, but I mean, we're not going to tell you when we're going to come back, but I'm just letting you know. We're going on break.
Yeah,
and as Lisa's not like Saga by Brian K. Vaughan.
Or Hunter x Hunter.
Okay, so what we're trying to say is that, but also keeping it within the My Hero spectrum, right? At least it's one of the hero series that's going on break, not all of them. And we're in an age that there's plenty of My Hero to go around. So
this is true. I do want to let everybody know that Vigilantes is going to be on break for 20 days at the time of recording this as well. So that stings a bit, but you always got team up missions, right? So
yes.
Luckily for us, we are not caught up with our recordings.
That's 21 days for us to catch up on Vigilantes, is what you're saying.
That's a lot of bees.
Yeah, that's a crazy episode. Check that out on the channel, guys, if you haven't already. That's not the only My Hero news we had this week, though. Before we get into the chapter discussion, we're gonna just talk about the cover for volume 34. It has America's #1 hero, Star and Stripe,
aka Missed Opportunity.
Damn.
Isaac, you're saying missed opportunity. I know we covered the arc when it was happening. I want your thoughts on this cover, though. Like, what do you think of
it's a great cover, but as someone that has read the arc, it's just why?
Brandon, we never actually talked about the Star and Stripe versus Shigaraki arc. What were your just general thoughts on that, and of course the cover we have here?
I mean, I love seeing another. What's what I'm looking for? I love seeing another hero that was inspired and trained by All Might.
Mm-hmm.
I love the connection between Japan and the United States, right? Because ever since after Two Heroes, we haven't seen that connection displayed again anywhere, you know? So, yes, it's sad that we lost her at the end of the arc, but I'm glad that we got an arc where she was front and center with very interesting powers and how she was so resilient to beat the villain that even when her quirk was stolen, it kept fighting against evil, which is like, talk about a determination. You know what I mean? And I just,
sure.
For the time I spent with Stars and Stripes, she was awesome. I just found her awesome. And the funny thing is that not only was she inspired by All Might, but in the little time that you spent with her and her team, she was able to be a symbol like All Might to others, because you can hear how her team talked about her and worked with her and all that, which makes her like an all-around hero, which is good to see, because one of the things that you rarely see in these books is main heroes doing big things. Like most of the times, it's either a main hero working side by side with a student, or students working under the supervision of a main hero. We rarely see a hero in their own right, front and center, doing something,
Mhm.
unless it's like, so it's like a very particular take. It felt like a movie. Like I can't wait for it to be animated. So it was cool.
Yeah, I'm with you. First off, well said. That is the best eulogy anyone can give Star and Stripe. But I'm with you. When that arc ended, I told Leo and Isaac when we recorded the review for that one that that's a story that will probably be perfect in the anime. It just didn't work as well as we wanted to in the manga. Because think about it, that's going to be like 2, maybe 3 episodes
Right.
of a self-contained epic of these two gods warring with each other.
Right.
That would be pretty cool to see coming up.
Yep. Yep.
So moving on to our last bit of news. Himiko Toga is gracing the cover of Jump Giga 2022. That's all. She's just the cover of this weekly Shonen Jump manga series, like collection of all the manga that's in Weekly Shonen Jump. It was another My Hero thing. I thought it was neat. They have some cool Plus Ultra merch on the cover. And Horikoshi's art is just awesome, so it's always fun to see it.
Yes.
A picture like that just reminds me yet again about him wanting to do a horror manga, which is just perfect for him. And once My Hero is done,
Yeah, we have to see our vampire girl fight Ochako in a couple of chapters, I assume, in 2 months' time, when we get our next our next chapter. So that is all for the news. Spoilers for My Hero Academia chapter 351, 2 Flash Fires. This chapter is interesting, guys, because it's picking up where we left off. Dabi, Toya, is going up against Shoto, Todoroki, and we got his whole backstory, fire, ice, everything nice, and daddy issues. Exactly. That's basically what he did to create Shoto and Dabi.
hey, it's a nice segue meme. You can't deny that.
That is the
perfect. It actually, that was the one meme that I can say perfection. I can pull my Magneto meme and go
perfection.
like perfection.
Yeah, that was actually a meme. That was a good segue, Isaac. That well done, well done.
Yes.
So we've got the two Todoroki boys fighting. We're learning the origin and the creation of Flash Fire Fist, which is one of my favorite moves. And Dabi even uses the Flash Fire Fist Hell Spider, which, if you guys remember that move when Endeavor fought the High and Nomu in like season 4's finale, beautiful. This is going to be the best looking battle in My Hero Academia probably ever.
Very possible.
This is an interesting chapter, guys, because the last issue we went over Dabi's origin, and now we're kind of doing the reverse with Shoto, where we know Shoto's origin, but we're kind of seeing how all of his experiences up to this point has made him who he is today. I want to start with you, Brandon, since you haven't been with us for these in a little bit. What are your thoughts on how they're handling Dabi and Shoto and this entire confrontation finally coming to a head after all this time?
So I actually like the fact that they've made Endeavor such a prominent figure in the book. Like, because in the beginning, he's the one that we didn't care about, because every time we thought about him, we just hated him. But
Yeah.
he becomes such a tragic figure, and that tragedy expands throughout not only his family, but hero society, because he is the number one hero now. Like, he achieved the quote unquote dream, but what he has done, his past has soured the well, right?
Right.
Because we all know that in this age where almost everybody distrusts heroes, a big deal of this is Endeavor's fault, because of everything that's happened with Toya, and everything we knew happened with Shoto. So I like the fact that he became such a prominent figure as a storytelling device for everyone, how it influences Shoto's story. And I like the fact that to the point where even his abilities are being used as story beats, which is actually great.
Yeah.
Which makes kind of makes it a nice knot, as we're assuming that this duet of fire. Ah, you see that? Is coming to an end. But there's a lot going on in this chapter that I love. But specifically, what you ask about the relationships, the confrontation, I think it's great because the one thing that you get, like I was listening to some, it was a tweet, it was a TikTok or something, and it was like I think it was a psychiatrist or a philosopher, I don't know who it was, but he literally was saying that the hero and the villain always have the same backstory. They all have some type of, they all went through some type of pain, tragedy, or something. What differentiates them is what they choose to do. Either they choose to take the stance of the hero, which is, I've been hurt by the world, so I'm going to make sure that nobody else suffers like I did. Or they take the route of the villain, which is, I've been hurt by the world, so I'm going to hurt the world back. Right?
Right.
And I love how that's being explored through the two brothers because their abuser is the same person. So
Yeah.
I like how that's being developed. I like the conversation around it because, and not only that, I love the fact that Shoto has grown balls because not only is he such a great rival to Toya right now / Dabi, but Shoto is doing something that he has never done before, and he's only done it to his father. But now this is the first time that we're seeing Todoroki, the full-fledged hero, because he's calling out the villain in Dabi and saying, "Stop the bullshit.
Right.
You know what you're doing." You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
he's calling him out on his shit, and it's like, I don't know. I love everything about it. I love the build up to that conversation and like how Shoto is like, like I don't think we've ever seen him this focused, this decisive, and I'm glad that he's coming on the other side of this tragedy because one could even argue that Todoroki, Shoto, I'm sorry. One can even argue that Shoto is the one character that grows the most throughout the entire series.
Yeah.
Especially how he was such a closed horse in the beginning. He was arrogant but quiet, but then he grows and expands as he allows people in, as he understands, as he decides to deal with his pain and move forward, because the one thing about Bakugo is he feels cheated, right? But he's still finding his way. The thing about Deku is that he felt cheated as well, but he is finding his own way because he sees the moment. But Shoto was just dealt a really shitty hand, but he's making the most of it. And I don't know, man. It's awesome.
I'm with you there on like Shoto's growth, right? Because as a person, he's probably developed the most. Deku obviously has the biggest increase in power.
Yep.
And Bakugo, he's learned how to work well with others. That's not as big as Shoto overcoming all of the trauma, all the anger, and opening up himself to be friends with Deku, to even be friends with Bakugo and Ida. And I just love how that's the reverse of Dabi, right? Dabi's the one member of the League of Villains. He was never a part of that family. He always was distant. It's also interesting seeing how they're the same, but also we're completely different, right? Where we see in this page 3, Toya's flashback of how Endeavor kept saying his potential would surpass his own, how his firepower was going to be greater than Endeavor's. And so he honestly, from everything we've seen so far, Endeavor was a little more encouraging with Toya than he was with Shoto.
Right.
And so I feel like Shoto had a slightly worse hand than Toya anyway, because he's the kid after the tragedy being pushed even harder. And so it's interesting to see how throughout all of that, he was able to overcome it, which is why he can look at Toya and say, dude, cut the crap. Come on. You know what you're doing. Stop it.
Exactly. But it's like, how I haven't seen the movie, but I know the in movie joke You know the movie Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah.
Like when they say use your white man voice. So it's like Shoto is finally using his hero voice,
Yeah.
and I like it.
It's very good. I also like the symbolism of like the All Might statue being melted down, right? Of that's everything All Might stood for is just sort of crumbling away and melting, but Shoto and Deku and Bakugo embody what All Might represented, not just the statue. And so
Yes.
that new generation of heroes is going to step forward and
Right.
continue his legacy without, the symbol of peace isn't gone. Essentially, he's living through them.
Right.
Isaac, I know how much you love some Todoroki drama. How you thinking? How you feeling about this chapter?
Well, first of all, I think me and Leo kind of nailed it that the problem Shoto is having is that Dabi doesn't care about himself. He right now.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants to be so boring. He doesn't look like a human anymore. And how his face is, if you really think about it.
Yep.
I mean, so, which also makes me go back to it shall be interesting to see your horror manga, Horikoshi, once you're done with this.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the conversation you and Leo were bringing up a few episodes back about how in this fight, Leo was very adamant about how Dabi's flames are hotter than Shoto's. And I kind of pushed back on that at the time. We're now seeing that his flames are hotter than Endeavor's, which is a big deal. But it's still coming to play exactly how I kind of thought it would, where the balance inside of Shoto, right? That fire and ice, it's gonna be enough to overcome it. Like you look at this last page of this chapter, and Shoto's a little bloody, but all things considered, he doesn't look like Dabi. He's not taking the damage Dabi is. So it might just be an endurance test if Shoto's just going to survive the hell flames, right? And hopefully he can try and save his brother without him having to die in this battle. But I really like, as we get towards the end of this chapter, Shoto again is the guy who steps up and tells Endeavor, "You go fight all for one. I can handle the family business. I can take care of Dabi. I can take care of Toya."
Yeah.
I think that it's safe to say that if any of the villains truly die, it's going to be Dabi. He can't really be what's it called?
What, redeemed?
Redeemed. Thank you.
Oh yeah, he's definitely not getting redeemed. I'm just trying to. I know Shoto would rather send him to prison than kill him. Is all I'm saying. That's what I mean by survive this fight.
But I also have a feeling that there's a lot of, I don't know if you guys will understand the reference. Isaac, you might. But I also find interesting how um there's a lot of Shishio from Rurouni Kenshin in Dabi. And
I think I know where you're going with it.
and the interesting thing with Chichio is that that particular villain of Rurouni Kenshin, he's not taken down, because the whole thing about him is that he was burned alive years ago, and because he survived that somehow, now he's always running hot, so he can only fight for a period of time, because as his body continues to get warmer and warmer, and and all his sweat glands being burned out and not working, he can literally combust, and that's how he dies, by self-combusting. And it makes me think that that's that's probably going to be the inevitable end of Dabi.
Mhm.
The question is, do they pull the Demon Slayer, where you know how at the end, whenever they defeat a big boss demon, let's call it that, there's always this like flashback of how their human lives were, and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, do they pull that, or does Toya die in his hatred, or does Dabi die in his hatred, or does Toya
Hatred.
die in peace or dies understanding. Because the whole thing about this, when you think about it, is Dabi is the demon that was born out of the fire, right?
Yeah.
But Toya was the kid that nobody understood that he was in pain. Nobody understood that he was hurt. And there's an ending where Toya can die peacefully, even though in flames, but understanding that his brother understood, that his father understood. Because that's the whole thing about the arc also, is the fact that the reason Shoto and Endeavor can actually have these conversations that they've been having is because they've come to an understanding, not only that they have to protect the family, but that Endeavor knows that he fucked up. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Endeavor knows.
Yeah.
Like it's not a secret. Not because everybody knows it, but because Shoto is not letting him escape the truth. And Shoto is the one that's forcing him to deal with it.
Right.
It's funny. So I don't know. I'm happy with either of those endings because either of them would work for the arc. But I think the Toya thing is more important because it's going to be a way of informing Shoto's hero arc.
For sure. For sure. It's that thing, right? Of, um, again, like you said at the top of the show, right? They are basically mirrors of each other. And it's just really interesting to see how that plays out, how that changes both of these characters. Because, like I was saying earlier, Toya seems to have that more encouraging side of Endeavor, but that was still pressure, right? He had to live up to the pressure of becoming the number one hero, of becoming more powerful than Endeavor. Whereas Shoto dealt with the pain of his fury, his wrath. He's never going to be good enough. He kept trying to push him to be better.
Right.
And so they dealt with two different parenting styles kind of Endeavor, but both of them were equally traumatizing. And so it's interesting how Shoto is the one, he's the driving force, right? It reminds me of what this past season of My Hero Academia, where Endeavor couldn't bring himself to save Natsuo. He froze because of all of the guilt that he's felt. And so a part of me feels like Shoto makes this decision to say, hey, I'm going to take it out your hands. You probably can't handle this as well as I can. And so I feel like it would be a perfect ending for Shoto to, in some way, save Toya. Like you said, even if it's as he's dying in this battle, because there's no way they could bring this kid home and eat udon. That's not going to work. But I feel like there's a version of this where he has to save his brother. Otherwise, he fails. And I don't know how he can live with himself knowing he failed to save his own brother. That's a lot to put on this kid.
Sometimes heroes do fail.
Sometimes, yeah. They fail a lot. I mean, think of All Might, as good as he is. This entire story is kind of his failure of how he was able to beat All for One the first and second time, and how he wasn't there to support Hero Society in the way that they needed to. So I feel like we've seen heroes fail a lot, especially with Endeavor and even Hawks' mission.
And it also brings the other side of the argument, which is what does it mean for a hero to fail or succeed? Is it when they save the person, or is it when they save the spirit? Which is also kind of like the running theme, right? Like, what's going to save Hero Society? What's going to save society? The Hero Society system, or the actual social system in place, or the ideals, or the actual, or the right hero philosophy, I think is what I want to say, or the right quirk philosophy, right? Because we know that the problems are not with the ideals that All Might withheld or upheld. I'm sorry.
Right.
The problems were with the systems that were created on top of the shoulders of All Might. Those are the problems.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It can go many different ways, and it goes to show, like, that's why I love these, where right after Like when we get to that Shigaraki arc, right? That's the war arc. We call the war arc the one where Shigaraki is revealed and they invade the hospital, right?
Right. That's the war. Well, the first war. I guess this is the second.
Yeah. Post Batman. So what I find interesting is that from that moment on, My Hero Academia assumes a different identity. But I have a feeling somewhere that the draft for My Hero Academia started here. Like it started in the war arc, because I think that these were all the topics that Horikoshi actually wanted to handle head on, because they're so well thought out and so well developed. And the road that we took in the previous season was just a way to get there in a way that made sense, as opposed to just being soapbox. You know what I mean? Like, because these are all preachy subjects. You know, I mean, heroes don't exist. So, but there's so many powerful ideas that I love that he found a way to make us fall in love with the characters, to then tackle these concepts and do it in this way. And I don't know. It's not hard to say that this is the best My Hero's ever been. And it's firing at all cylinders, and it's awesome.
Oh, no, for sure. For sure. I'm with you there, because think about it. There's so many. It was a little bumpy getting here. I felt like we kind of sped through like the Dark Deku vigilante thing. But getting into this second war, right? I still want to know what's happening with Bakugo, Mirko, and Best Jeanist. What does it look like Deku trying to trek all the way back to Shigaraki? What's going on with Uraraka and Toga? There's so many different things happening. And I still want to see how this story plays out. There's just so many different little story pods we could jump to every couple of chapters. And that's what makes this 21-day wait agonizing. Because it's like, dang it, I want to see what happens with this character, with that character. And there's just so much stuff happening. I don't want this ride to be over. And it feels like it's going to be fairly soon. Horikoshi said it's going to end this year if all things go according to plan. But I don't know. I want to keep experiencing these characters and these stories because they're so great, so well thought out.
Yeah.
Isaac, did you have anything else you wanted to add on this chapter?
Well, nothing more than it's truly on fire.
Yeah, you are not wrong. It's a banger. I can't wait to see how it plays out. And Brandon, while you're here, this is a little game Isaac, Leo, and I have been playing. What's the likelihood Bakugo dies by the end of this series? I'm going to give you the numbers everybody else is given after you come up with your idea, but like what percentage is it, like an 80% chance he dies or not at all? You can think about that, and I'll just keep talking while you think about that, because for some reason, Leo and Isaac are adamant that Bakugo is going to die in this series, especially since he has to fight Shigaraki seemingly by himself. They gave it an 80% chance he dies. I gave it only like a 25% chance. I don't think Bakugo dies at all.
I mean, okay, so here's my take.
Yes.
You ready? I think that because we're in the final arc, there is probably a 33% chance. I don't think it's a big chance, but I think there's a chance. But the one thing I want to point out is this. Think about this. In the entirety of the series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only one big character has died. And it wasn't even a main character. And I'm not talking about Night Eye, because Night Eye doesn't count, because he was a supporting role at best. He was a big character, but not a main character. Mm-hmm. He was just a supporting role in its chunk. The only the only two big characters that have died is Midnight and Gran Torino.
And I still don't know if Gran Torino is actually dead. Honestly, until we have a funeral for that guy, I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. The fact that Deku is hanging out with his scarf, I think, is enough evidence for me that he's gone.
I mean, we know he gave him like the cape, but I'm still unclear on that. Honestly, that's just me.
True, but then again, did we see Midnight's body?
We didn't, but when they were listing the heroes who died in that battle,
She was there.
Yeah, she was listed.
Yep.
But look at it this way: right after that, we get the crying scene in Torino's bed. So it's kind of like,
yeah, that's why I said I don't blame anybody for thinking that, but
right. But
it
you
was
think
ambiguous enough for me to question it.
Fair enough, but it makes me get to this point.
Mhm.
He hasn't really killed off a main character. So do I think he's going to kill one of the big three? Maybe. Do I think it's necessary for the story to have a satisfying conclusion? No, I don't. Because there's a I think there's a world where part of the true ending of this is one where they save the day, but One for All disappears.
Yeah.
Where sacrificing that power is part of the part of the victory strategy, right? There's also a future where maybe one of the big three is crippled and can't do hero business, not because he's without a quirk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like where people think, oh, what do you mean Bakugo's not going to be a hero? Well, those who can't do teach, but but I don't think they're going to do that to Bakugo. But
they might do that with Deku, honestly. Like he loses one for
very
all.
possibly. Like he is the teacher type, 100%.
Yeah.
But also, I think because I think the goal is similar to, for example, think about it. My big comparison is Naruto. The biggest deaths in Naruto were
This manga review and manga and anime review series can't take a break on an Naruto comparison, can it?
ever.
Never.
It's the biggest. It's one of the biggest shonen after One Piece. Correction.
It's sort of like me with puns.
It is the biggest shonen that everybody has seen because nobody wants to start One Piece.
It's true.
So when you think about it, in actuality, all the big characters that died in Naruto were big supporting characters, apart from Neji. You know what I mean? Like none of the main cast died.
And no disrespect to Neji, but it's not like he was Rock Lee or Shikamaru, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because Neji was a foil between the Naruto and Hinata relationship. That's really all it was. And mostly it was mostly a character that pushed Hinata forward into becoming stronger. That's really what it was. It was a character built to serve her. But so I think that's kind of the route that this is going to take. But at the same time, my hero, Horikoshi has made his mark as someone that likes to take the road less traveled, because he does like to service the story he's telling. He's not trying to service an idea, which is why his book so far has been great. So, that's my take. But I think 33%, because when you think about it, 33 plus 33 plus 33 means there's an equal chance that any of the three can die. So
yeah, fair. I've got you at 33%. Leo and Isaac are at 80%. I'm at 25%. And for All Might, that's a completely different can of worms. I don't know if you want to answer that today, you can. But
All Might dies? Can we be honest about it? He's been dying for a while.
Yeah.
If he dies, it's just, it's.
Let me change that. Does All Might get killed? I think that's really what we're answering.
I see a way where, because we all know for a fact that there's still a little bit of One for All inside of All Might. That's probably the little bit that's actually keeping him alive. Hence why he can blow up whenever he wants and come back down, right?
And how he can survive without a stomach.
And we're not going to talk about that. So, but I think there's a part where, as One for All is sacrificed, the little bit that's still in All Might goes away, and that's where we lose him. Because that way he doesn't die a martyr. I don't think there's any way that All Might dies a martyr. He dies a hero.
Yeah.
That needs to be that way. That's like I'm putting my foot down, damn it.
Yeah. Leo and Isaac said 90+%. I said maybe 60 for those very reasons, because I feel like if we were going to kill All Might, we would have done that at Camino, right?
100%. 100%.
So if he's not going to die there, I don't think there's any point of him dying anywhere else.
It's not servicing anything.
Exactly. It doesn't affect it. Like if All Might just dropped dead right now, I don't think it changes. It's sad and depressing, but
exactly. If you're gonna kill someone, you're moving something forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Isaac, do you feel any differently about these scenarios at all?
I do want to say one more thing. I want to see one more thing.
Yes.
Something that could change about the percentage with Bakugo is that now that we finally know his name, if he sacrifices himself in a big explosion, then okay. That's why we never knew his name before.
We got it. Cool.
Yes.
Brandon, what's the percentage for All Might? I just need to put it down because I have everybody else's written down.
So let's specify the question. Are we saying what's the percentage of him getting killed or the percentage of him dying?
I'll just put down both. So one for kill, one for dying.
Killed, none. Dying, 75.
That is high.
I mean, you seen the guy?
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
But at the same time, it's also I want to give him that 25% there where, like, hey man, we're not gonna kill you. We're gonna let you see what your students accomplish in your vision.
Yeah. Okay, then I have a question to you, Brandon, which we also talked about. And no, this is not a pun, actually.
Okay.
We talked about Dabi killing Endeavor. How of a chance do you think that it's gonna be?
Well, the thing is this right now. Well, I don't think there's any percentage right now for that happening for two reasons. The way the battle arenas have been set up are very definitive, especially in this final arc. Like nobody's moving. The only person that's moving from one arena to the other is Deku, and that's just because stories. Like I would even say, like the only reason Deku ended up in a different one is because Horikoshi did. Oh crap! I need more time. How about we just put Deku in a different place? So. Because that's what happens. It's the same thing with Goku healing in the chamber in Namek, and then having to hold Freeze off. You know, like we can't have him fight yet.
Or how Naruto was nowhere to be found when Pain attacked Konoha.
Correct, and then he appears with his army of toads.
Ribbit
mode, love it. Ribbit good. So
I need some soup.
Yes, but. In regards to, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it can happen. And not only that, that line that Dabi threw, like, I thought I was going to give it all out killing Dad, but you're a good replacement. Like, he's already, first of all, he's been telling us for the last 2 issues, that he's going to die.
Yeah.
So, and he just told us in this one that he's good just killing Shoto. So I think that's enough. I think it's too obvious that he's dying like today. Oh, wait, I'm not. I mean, in 21 days.
In 21 days.
Yes.
True. Guys, was there anything else you wanted to hit before we go on sabbatical?
No, not that I can think of.
Stay tuned for team-up missions.
Stay tuned for team-up missions. We're probably going to be doing a lot of team-ups and vigilantes over the next couple weeks. Yes. Until next time, guys, this has been the Amateur Otaku Pod. You can find us on Twitter at Amateur Otaku Pod. You can subscribe here on YouTube. We got videos almost daily on the channel, so stay tuned for all that good stuff. Isaac, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, you can find my work over at OBM Entertainment, and you can find me on Twitter at Emblemaniac. And you can find the pod over at Amateur Otaku Pod.
Yes. And Brandon, what about you, man?
You can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram, and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on TikTok, even though I have no idea what I'm doing there.
Nice. You guys can find me at Novice Cinephile on Twitter and youtube.com/Novice Cinephile, where I have videos up pretty much weekly. So there's probably tons of stuff over there you'd like to see. I have some My Hero videos, some Naruto. We also have a lot of stuff coming up on the channel. We are covering Spy Family. We're covering Vigilantes. We're covering Kaiju number 8. So much stuff here on the Amateur Otaku Podcast. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you guys want us to cover as well in the comment section down below. And we will see you in 21 days. Go beyond.
Plus Ultra.